Hey guys, it's Mama J. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I wanted to go over the Zilla Micro Habitat kit and also do a very simple bioactive build as a temporary enclosure for a couple of my little morning geckos. Now, this is a new kit to me. It's one that I was kind of anxious to try to put together and sort of see what I thought about it. This kit consists of acrylic panels that fit together very similar to a puzzle. They interlock with each other. The sides of it have a couple of ventilation areas, and as you can see as I zoom in here, the sides are held together by these little silicone bands, and that's what holds your puzzle pieces together. On the top, it has a little lock that is also supposed to help your door have some extra security being closed. The lock is opened by pulling up the little tab and then rotating it around. And as you do that, that will allow you to pull up on the front door piece and open the front door, which folds forward. Closing it, you do the same thing as you pull it back and then you rotate the lock around and put the little tab back in the hole. The substrate I was using for our bioactive build is from Josh's Frogs, and it is one of their new bioactive beddings that doesn't require a drainage layer. This particular substrate that I've chosen is for tropical species, and it is a combination of organic and inorganic elements. It has some little chips of wood. It feels like it has some eco-earth and other things added to it that when you add water really makes a nice substrate that'll hold humidity well. Now I've gone ahead and sprayed it and added enough water to it where you can squeeze it in your hand, but you don't want it so wet that it would, you could squeeze water out. Now comes a time where we'll just go ahead and put that bottom layer in. And again, this is something that doesn't have to have a drainage layer, which is really great for animals that maybe are in a smaller enclosure, or maybe ones that would even burrow that you would want to have for egg laying. I think this would be a great substrate. The next layer in our bioactive build is, of course, picking some plants and your hardscape. Now, typically, I start with the hardscape and just sort of try to put that in the tank and figure out the size placement and how I think that would really work best in the tank. This particular tank, I would like to put a couple of pieces of wood in it and provide a couple of climbing areas and places to hide. One of the perks of having a lot of bioactive tanks in my room is that I always have a plethora of pothos clippings that I like to propagate so that I can always pull those and use if I'm doing another bioactive build. And of course, free is always a good thing. Because this is a smaller tank, I decided it would be a good idea to go ahead and try to get my plant clippings planted and then see kind of what kind of space constraints that I had. That's one thing with a bioactive tank is there's really no right or wrong way to do it. And a lot of it's a trial and error. Sometimes you need to play with your hardscape a little bit and see how it works in your space. And sometimes what you first think is kind of your first idea may not work. Like in this case, I found out that 2 pieces of cork bark were really probably going to make the tank a little bit too tight, and I also needed to put a feeding dish in here. So in that case, I just pulled out the smaller piece and decided maybe I should add a few more plant clippings just to help it seem a little bit more full. The next thing I always add in my bioactive tanks are my cleanup crew. So these are some springtails I just got, and look at these guys. They are popping. They are so active. Dwarf tropical white isopods are also a favorite, and they do extremely well in bioactive enclosures. Another new product I'm trying is the Josh's Frogs Cleanup Crew Cuisine, which are these little pellets that you can put in the tank. So first of all, I go ahead and add in my springtails right into the substrate there. And then we'll add in some of the isopods. And these guys are so great. They help break down, any waste that are in the tank. And to just help, like I said, to get them going as the bioactive is starting to get in its cycle, I added one of these little pellets that will provide a little bit of food for them as the new tank gets started. The next thing I always add in my bioactive enclosures is sphagnum moss. I love this because it really helps hold humidity well inside your tank. And the next thing I put on top of that typically is some type of a leaf litter. Now today I'm using a magnolia leaf litter, but I've also used oak leaves before, and both provide a great addition to any bioactive tank. The last thing to do is just to spray everything down really well and do one final check. Again, we're just doing a very simple setup as a temporary tank for a couple of the morning geckos, but I think it turned out pretty well. What do you think? The final thing is to add in the geckos. These are my morning geckos. Their names are Laverne, and that's Laverne right there. And this is Shirley. And if you're old school, you probably remember that TV show from a long time ago. But hopefully these girls will enjoy their temporary enclosure while I'm working on a larger setup for them. One final thought I wanted to give you right at the close of the video here is just kind of a couple of my impressions of this tank. One thing that I was concerned about, especially with the morning geckos, is that there is a little gap between the puzzle pieces. Now, if you have a very tiny animal like the baby morning geckos, I could not put in here because they would escape. Another thought that I have is this is a little plastic secure thing, and if it's something that you have to maintenance a lot, I could see that there's a high risk that it would break. But for a temporary enclosure, I think it meets my needs, and I think it turned out to be a really cute little tank. Thanks for stopping by today. I hope you've enjoyed getting to see the little morning geckos, getting to see what the Zilla Micro Habitat tank is like, and just kind of seeing how to put together a very simple bioactive build. So thanks so much for watching today. I hope you guys will come back and join me for another video. So be sure and like and subscribe so you'll know when that next video is released. I hope you guys have a blessed and wonderful day. See you next time.